When you, excuse me, when you're doing this exercise and you're prioritizing your coaching, what's the new skill in this exercise? What's new?
The shifting.
Exactly. Because if they met the objective in exercise 3, then they've been stopping just fine, haven't they?
There's been some practice of it, yeah.
Yeah, so really the big focus here should be shifting. And I see so many coaches, the biggest thing I see, starting right from the beginning, they start coaching, you have to stop with your tire between these cones. You have to stop. They could miss the shift completely, but they're coaching them to stop with the tire between those cones. That's not that important. They're going to have plenty of opportunities to practice their braking over the next 2 days. The important thing is that they learn to upshift and downshift properly. So I don't really worry if they don't hit the shift point exactly until if they've got shifting down, then you can start really fine tuning their stop. But I don't worry too much about exactly where they stop.
Yeah, you're right. Agreed. It's something to work towards. So let's talk about the shifting. If you got somebody who's going really slow coming through down that line to try and get into second gear, you know, where should they have already learned how fast they need to go to shift?
Exercise 3.
Previous exercise.
3. Yeah. So it's important to get exercise 3 right before you finish exercise 3 to get them up to that pre-shift speed to be ready for this exercise. You know, so that would at least help them get there sooner and maybe re-emphasize, hey, remember, you got to get pre-shift speed in this thing. Okay. What if you got somebody looking down while they're trying to shift? What's the difference between looking down and holding and a glance? Is that okay? A glance down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you kind of think about that. You know, if they're staring down with their left foot and trying to figure things out, that's not going to end well. But if they're just kind of glancing down and looking up and glancing down and looking up, that's okay. All right.
So there's a question about how do you handle those students who want to discuss or ask questions within that 3 to 5 seconds? Because since we always want to be timely and it's 7 after the hour, how do we address all the excellent questions we have? Right? We all get excited about what we're discussing, but how do we address the good questions we have when we're trying to stay within 3 to 5 seconds?
Great question. Anybody? How do you guys deal with that?
If they can hold it till they get to the end of the exercise and pose it in front of the group, then everybody gets the benefit of the question.
Yeah, hold it till the debrief.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, focus on this for now. Let's talk a little bit about that other part later. You know. Oh, good. All right, so as I've been told, we got to move forward. Let's, so we kind of been talking about technique and coaching positions. In there has been range management, range awareness. We've talked about that a little bit. Staging in this exercise, or does anybody get any other questions on range management and range awareness and on all the things we've been talking about? No, we're good there. All right, well, let's just talk about, so you're going to stage this thing. Where are you going to stage and how are you going to stage these students?
Depends on the range, depends on the class.
Okay.
I mean, staging area, but still depends on the range.
Yep. Yeah, you know, actually, before we even go there, right? So you've got that difference in here. These guys got to transition. They've got to do a reversal. So let's, before we jump into staging, let's reverse. Let's talk about the reversal for the compact range. Those that run this, how do you typically reverse this?
It's like an S shape from that start gate to the far side and back around.
Right, so they kind of go over here, and then over here, and then back in here.
Facing the other direction. That's right. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So what do you got to do with these cones?
They got to move.
They got to go down here, yeah.
Yep.
So that's
make them start gate. Yep.
Right. So that's important nuances. You got to move those cones. It's a little bit extra working to do. Walking.
A good
Anything
tip.
Else?
A good tip on that is you hide on the left side of the diagram. Hide the small cones underneath those.
Yes.
Then you just have to take the big cones down.
Oh, there you go.
And you can also actually hide if you have like a pylon or something that's off range. keep 2 tall cones at the other end, so you don't have
Over
to
here,
go full, carrying the 2 cones. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Pull them in from the side.
All good ideas to make things more efficient.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, so
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
nobody had a problem with hiding the little baby cones underneath the large cones, right?
Right.
anybody have a problem with
I thought that's where you put your lunch.
that?
The state of Texas says no stacking of cones, so we're not allowed to do that. So what I do is I do the 2 tall cones down where he said before on that, where the 2 little cones are. I have them off range, 2 tall cones there. Grab those 2 tall cones, set those there, pick up those 2 little cones. When I walk down to the new coaching position, I drop the new little cones, pick up the 2 tall cones, huck those out of the range, and off we go.
Okay. Okay, so Texas has got a rule against stacking cones. Okay.
Correct.
That came from the old curriculum? You just brought it forward?
I have no idea, honestly, because
Okay.
the only thing I know is updated is the BRCU.
Okay. I think since they introduced the taller ones, people are kind of wondering what's the difference between a tall cone and a stack of small ones.
I think their whole thing was a safety thing, because if they hit
Sure.
a tall cone, it just flops over. But if you do hit, because I'm curious, I do stuff, so I hit a tall cone with not with students there, just to see, and it skids and does weird things. So it's a safety thing.
Sure. All right. Let's not go into that can of worms too far.
No.
So good. All right. So anything specific in here about staging? I mean, if you got students stopped here, let's say, and you're going to stage them, you got to bring them right straight in, right? Just kind of flow them right over. And as far as this one,
yes. Yep.
any different ways of staging this thing that might be interesting?
On this, usually what I do is stop both sides, stage the near side first,
Okay.
and then have the far side kind of teardrop
S, yeah.
into staging.
Do an S in or whatever?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody ever stack students in this line so they get all 12 right here in a line, take these out of here and put them in? And then
Yeah.
stage all of them?
Yep.
The reason why I've done that before, or even different routes, is to try and get a specific rider in the front that is lead because they're better for whatever reason. So when we start the next exercise, they can, demonstrate the path better.
There you go. Somebody's thinking. Good. Is there a right way or a wrong way? What kind of rules do we follow for staging?
Safety first.
Safety. There you go. Okay. As long as you're doing this in a safe and effective manner, then I think we're good to go. And that will be up to you and your other coach and maybe your QA person to make that call, unless you do something strange. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions on this? Gone a little longer. Ray, you want to add anything?
This is Mike Gentile from Connecticut.
Okay.
Just want to drop a little nugget here. I mean, this program was based on random contextual interference. And so this exercise has a lot of that going on, which is fantastic because the students get to begin to learn other techniques to how to control their motorcycle well in a very random way.
Anybody know what random contextual interference means? Don, that might be a subject for a whole different meeting because we can get really deep with that one. Or was Michael showing off?
Well, if the learners have a variety of things to give their attention amongst, they don't get too over-focused on just one thing.
Right? It's the theory of basketball shooting. If you're told to shoot 1,000 free throws and you shoot 1,000 of them, you usually don't get much better after 30 or 50. You do improve, but you don't get a lot better. But if you begin to introduce random things like, okay, now let's do layups. Now let's go do this. Now let's go back and do free throws. Now let's go back and do layups. Then you begin to randomize it. There's some studies out there that have kind of proven that that's a better way to learn. And that's, I think, what Michael's referring to is rather than just doing shifting and stopping, we've introduced a couple other items in here to better increase the learning, which happens all through this curriculum, which makes this curriculum a little bit different than some competitors out there. Okay. Thank you for that, Michael. Did anybody else have anything else, or are we done? Ray, you want to add any 2 cents to this?
Well, I just throw some,
Oh, okay.
some reflection things out there. You know, I mean, this is a good place to kind of address maybe some of those knowledge test questions about matching gear to speed, you know, the upshift, downshifts ones. So sometimes those answers can be brought out in the reflection.
Good.
And then also, you know, we kind of break down the shifting process in this exercise. We kind of, our demo is slow enough for them to see the pieces, and we separate, you know, we do downshifting first and then the braking. I kind of tell them at the end, you know, and as we get more proficient at this, these things will happen a little bit more simultaneously. So while you're, you know, riding or other exercises, you know, feel free to start working on closing the gap between the pieces of this, and that just kind of gives students permission to do that on their own.
Okay. Anybody else ask any different questions of what you have in the cards in that reflection area?
Well, I like to remind students who had never shifted gears 30 minutes ago that while this was their first time at shifting, they're probably going to get several hundred more shifts in during the rest of the class. So if they don't feel like it's quite a natural process yet, be patient and give it some time.
Okay.
Usually this exercise has some aha moments for people. They did a shift wrong and then they fixed it, or maybe they made the corner for the first time, or, you know, there's usually some personal experience. You can say, gee, Mary, what happened when you did this? Or, you know, how did you fix that? And they can kind of come out with their own experience. So it kind of depends on what did they experience, you know, that drives what the questions are.
Yeah, right. Okay. I've got nothing else. Don, you want to take it back? And you had another topic to come discuss, right? Or just want to?
Well, we're a little bit over, so everybody, you know, I'm glad you stayed, and you know, we'll continue with this. Just this week, I don't think we'll be posting the video because I'd have to do too much editing. So to continue on with everything right now, it's time for Ray's comments. Ask Ray. So if you have anything, Ray, or if you have something for Ray, you know, shoot it out there.
Well, I'll start with a few comments based on what's happened so far, because I think I'm kind of cleanup. One of the things going back to first impressions, just to mention, research shows people get their first impression within 15 seconds. So while having them walk into a room knowing they're immersed in motorcycling, knowing they have someone there that cares, and you've all mentioned something similar to that, that's quite important. Regarding something that was brought up during exercise 4, a question came up, I think Al asked, why do we want to separate, why do we want to slow down that speed of movement, especially in shifting? Well, there's a motor skill principle with that. It refers to speed of movement. Speed of movement will come naturally, but the initial skill development needs to chunk. It needs to happen slowly and over time. That way it becomes integrated as you establish muscle memory. One of the questions that we like to ask at learning centers, and our most common answer to that, they want to know where to go and they want to know what to do.
Hey, Ray.
So in the comment that was made about adding a narration to that, it's good to add a narration if it answers one of those 2 questions. If it's just superfluous, then no, don't add something. But if it helps them know where to go and what to do, it's worthwhile to add. Simulated practice came up. Simulated practice's purpose is, one of the main purposes is to establish the mind-muscle connection for something that's new. Usually it's a sub-skill of some kind. And we tried to pick the ones out in the BRC that might accelerate learning or would prevent a mishap from happening, or somebody to have a higher risk situation occur. It came up about stacking up an exercise 4. Students tend to stack up in the clutch control lanes. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a natural phenomenon that actually helps them integrate the skills as they're trying to take care of each other in that environment. So Don't worry about things stacking up. I personally am not a big fan of, keep the wheels turning, they ain't learning. No, it's got to be focused, developmental for the students. I wanted to bring up too, the position for people stopping in exercise 7 is actually different than 4, and it's trying to mix that up. And it is true, a rider coach can choose which side of the range you want to be on at that stop point. It came up about 3 to 5 seconds to coach. That certainly is ideal. We like to see that, but if a student needs a little extra for safety's purposes, that you got to take the time to do it. And the other coach hopefully might take a little time and add a little bit more to the person they're coaching to keep the sides equal. And the compact range, my last comment will be the compact range. When you do reversals there, it's okay, especially if it's very narrow and the students aren't quite where you want them to be physically, to power walk. They don't have to ride to that new position. They can power walk it so they have control of the machine and aren't going to go straying off to the side somewhere. So I'm done with that. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
Don't all jump at once.
I'm off the hook.
I have a question that's not pertaining to what we're talking about. I didn't want to lead the topic, so I'll wait till the end. But I do have a question.
I think we're there.
You may not even have the answer, but I think I haven't met a lot of rider coaches, but I have rode with Steven Parsons, who's on here, and we sport the rider coach red hat. I haven't seen anyone sport that before. I guess it's not a very popular hat, but we love it, and I love all the other stuff I have that's rider coach related. With that being said, not that, everywhere I go, I'm wearing rider coach stuff. I am a proud rider coach though. And the Restorg site doesn't really have a lot of stuff to purchase. And the stuff that is on there is out of certain sizes, and there's just not a very big variety. If that means anything.
I can see Kathy wants that one. No, I'm just kidding, Kathy.
I was going to say, I could take that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We've evolved a little bit in some of the rider coach stuff because a lot of sites have their own site-specific clothing. So we've evolved to a process where if you have your own clothing, you can actually work with Madeline Smith at our office to get MSF logo on specific gear. So it is a little bit difficult right now because we're not shipping anything because of the COVID-19 situation, but you could talk to Madeline Smith at the office. And when we talk later, when you catch up with me, I can give you her contact info.
Okay. We've been planning to increase the product there for some time, but again, it's not a high priority for what we're doing, but I think you might start to see more populated items there, maybe the beginning of next year.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wasn't, obviously the rider coach memorabilia, I guess if you want to call it that, is awesome, but it's not pertinent to safety training and getting, safe riders out there on,
It's nice to have. And if we know what you're interested in, then we know what kind of things to start looking at stocking when it does come time to boost up what we have up for offer.
Okay. When we talk, I'll look on there again. I'm interested in everything else. So.
To kind of wrap things up here, I have a quick poll for everybody. And so, dang on it, it just went away. So I guess we aren't going to have a poll tonight. What we can do, though, is cover a few of the last minute things as a group. So everybody got the screen share?
Yep.
All right. So how to help. If you really enjoyed this dialogue and you're getting something from it, I think the best way that you can get more from it is to participate. There's a link on the Tribe Talks page of that website at the bottom for you to share your topics for the future. And for those of you who really want to go out and have a little bit more fun, we can work with you to present your topic in the future. So volunteer please to present. To build this platform, and just so you know, we had a little bit over 50 off and on tonight, not including what's on Facebook. So starting to develop a following. Please share that we do this every week and bring more people in. And that helps to maximize the information getting out to more people, helps us to communicate more effectively and be stronger and improve the tribe. Bring more people in.
Yeah, I wanted to do a shout out. We had 4 from Oklahoma online tonight.
So I think New York might have beaten that.
See, the competition
Yeah,
is
but you're
on.
big.
At least 3 from Mass, anyway. I saw.
Still think I get the furthest traveled award.
There you go. Of course, I'm in Tennessee, so I can't complain.
Last thing I would like to cover tonight is the fact that if you've been checking your email, you probably got a nice little notification from MSF. Dr. Ray is doing some talks this week on Tuesday and Thursday, right, Ray?
Yes.
So if you have an opportunity and it fits into your time schedule and you want to learn more, please go out and register for those so that we can share more of the wealth. I'd like to thank Dennis and Nicole and Alan for their presentations tonight, for sharing their information with us all. Rita and Matt, thank you for helping us to communicate with other people through the text chats. And I guess that's it. Thank you all for participating, and hopefully we'll see you Wednesday night for happy hour or next Sunday for the next Tribe Talk.
Ray, I have an admin related question, if I may.
Sure.
I just have the brilliant timing of being up for renewal, and I don't know how COVID-19 is affecting the recertification process when I need to renew my certification. So I've submitted my materials, but I've heard nothing back from the MSF, and I'm due at the end of the month.
Jeff, actually, I'm going to take that one away from Ray because I help Lori with that process. I'm not exactly sure what her typical schedule is, but it's usually a couple of weeks before it might get processed. But I will look you up, and if I see any issues, I'll get in touch with you.
Okay.
I'll get in touch with you either way to let you know either you're good to go or there's an issue.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Great.
I'm pretty sure we'll be extending the time for that. We're still waiting to see how long this shutdown for some people is going to last.
Yeah, we're going to look at them case by case as needed, and more than likely give extensions for those folks that they just had no option. This is not anybody's fault. So, but we have to handle it case by case.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is that it makes it difficult for you guys to carry your normal workload under these circumstances. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a delay.
We're managing fairly well, I think, but yeah, it's been a little different. I don't have all of my usual equipment here at my apartment, so I'm really missing my 2 big monitors and extra keyboard, but we're carrying on regardless.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I will add about Ray's talks, and that would be that these are not social events. It's not going to be run the same way as Tribe Talk. It's going to be pretty much one way. We'll take questions, and it's going to be different in that I thought about, well, I'll just start on page 1 of the Rider Coach Guide and read it, and then I'm done when I'm done. Don't think that'll work too well. So as you get ideas and as we get the first couple under our belt, we might change the format for that. But it's not going to be exactly like this. It's going to be mostly one way with questions being taken. So just a heads up.
Ray, can we invite
those that are candidates to become rider coaches to your talks?
I'm okay with that. I don't know if it requires a rider coach number or not. So we'll look into that between now and tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Now and Tuesday.
Ray, will you be recording them so those of us who are working will be able to maybe look at them at a later time?
They're going to be recorded. I'm not sure if we're going to post them yet or not, or how we're going to do that. One of the big questions we have is I tend to make them different each time. And so people might come in at the second or third one. It's going to be a completely different topic. So we're thinking about putting those in Retsorg and keeping them posted for a while, but we haven't decided that finally yet.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I have a question, Dr. Ray there. So if we signed up for it, will we get an email that tells us how to log in? Or
you were supposed to have gotten that, and you may get it just a few minutes before it goes live.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ray, I did understand that the two sessions next week, Tuesday and Thursday, are the same session, just you split it in two.
No, they'll be different. I'm going to start in the Rider Coach Guide with the range exercises. First, I'm going to get into just some generalities about range exercises and managing risk. That'll be the highlight probably of the first one. The second one, I'll pick up from wherever we leave off and start getting into exercise by exercise. The Rider Coach Guide, not so much the range cards like you did tonight. I'd rather keep it more general. And I'm sure you understand one of the difficulties we have. We're going to get brand new fledgling rider coaches involved in this. We're going to get people who are seasoned veterans that participate in something like this. So I've got to figure out how to just really stay with the basics and then let the questions take us maybe on different tangents. But they'll be completely different on Tuesday and on Thursday.
Okay, because it said that, when I saw it, it said that it was Tuesday or Thursday.
Well, they're separate. Somebody can sign up. What we plan to do right now, change, is Fridays we'll send out the invite for the next week, both Tuesday and Thursday.
For those of us that didn't get email, where do we go to sign up for that?
You can shoot me an email at rochs@msf-usa.org, and I can make sure you get an invite. We may not have your correct email in our system, and you may want to check your profile to be sure it's current, because that's where we got the email address to send this out.
So I have a random question too that kind of pertains to your classes, but more or less it's training. On the RestOrg site, I'm on it right now. I have to go back and forth on the screen to be able to see you guys, but there's all these events that happen throughout the year. I've been in Europe for the last 6 years, and obviously it's been very difficult to get to these. I'm active duty military, so I have to kind of put in time in advance to try to take off if I want to come to one of these events. Are we invited to these events by MSF? Do we just show up by ourselves? Is there specific ones that you would suggest newer rider coaches should attend opposed to a different one? Or I mean, how does that work? As I want to go to everything, but.
Great. Well, we appreciate that. We like that. I wish we could do more. So we're going to see what we're going to do. This is a new initiative in terms of doing these talks every Tuesday and Thursday, and they're somewhat replacing the regional rider education training system workshops we do around the country. And typically we ask state administrators if they'd like to have one, willing to host one, and then we invite to participate. We like all comers. Anybody can come in if they're an active certified rider coach. We want them coming in and participating with it because we want to address all the questions, all the content that's important for everyone. It's just difficult to do that at a national level because we try to push some states and some military branches to do that on their own. So as we move to the future with this COVID-19 situation, we may do more online stuff going forward. But I personally, I'll apologize first of all. I'll probably struggle with this sitting in front of a camera. Reminds me of my old days lecturing behind a podium with my notes in front of me, and people falling asleep in the back of the room. I'd rather be in a small group activity or have small groups within a larger group and be able to move around the room and answer questions. I'm not a big fan of lecturing, but that's what these are going to be. But if a lot can change into something like Tribe Talk is and have more interaction, but you're going to get probably at least several hundred people signed up for what we're doing on Tuesday and Thursday. It's going to be difficult to have it as we're doing now. But in answering your question, if we try to post it on the calendar when something's going to happen, we just got good at that the last few months, and then we got stopped in our tracks with this virus situation. But as we go forward, you can contact staff member MSF to see what might be coming down the pike. We are not the best when it comes to giving advance notice. You can tell that. It's a very dynamic situation we're in, being lean and mean like we are out here in California. So stay in touch and email anytime.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
your certification is good to go. Just go into your profile and print your card.
Okay, great.
How's that for service?
Can't ask for more. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Ray, is anything going on with the three-wheel, or is this putting all that on hold?
All on hold. The major thing that's happening is with the changeover we've had and the way budgets have been, most of you are probably familiar with that big RETS chart I show all the time. We got into lifelong learning pretty significantly, did a lot of post-licensing courses, and now we're putting some energy back into, okay, let's look more at the novice level. And, the license waiver courses, we're going to be building a couple different programs that you'll probably hear about maybe 3 or 4 weeks after the virus situation settles down. We've got some things pending that we'd like to initiate, but that's on hold for right now. I can't provide too much details at this time or I'll get in trouble. I like questions, so fire away.
Are you sure? I just want to say thank you to Dr. Oakes and Kathy and Dawn for doing all this, and Alan. I mean, this is great to keep everybody involved and keep people active on what they're doing.
I think it's our pleasure.
Speak for yourself. Some people don't get my dry humor, so that's why I got to really be non-humorous. Of course, people don't think I have a sense of humor anyway, and that's okay.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it.
We get it, Ray.
Completely.
And we didn't have to do the Rider Coach drinking game tonight. It's all right. We'll save it for next week.
It's still happy hour.
Maybe where you are.
Wednesday, Alan. Alan, Wednesday. Wednesday is happy hour.
That's right, Alan. Wednesday. Okay, everybody. Gonna wrap this up so we can all go home, and we're already there, I know. But all get back with our families and do what we're doing. I see Kathy's dreaming of Maine, and, all is good.
Yeah, if you ever watched Forrest Gump, you've seen that lighthouse.
Indeed.
I'd be working on getting a Valentino Rossi behind me.
All right, good night, everybody. I'm going to sign off, and Annie Madsen, I'm going to see what I can do to help you out with your Red Sorg issue. I'll be in touch.
Good night, Kathy.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks a
Take
lot,
care.
Beth.
Night, everyone.